2 days ago, Prime Minister Trudeau announced $10 million to hire 2,000 energy advisors across Canada. The idea is to help consumers increase the energy efficiency of their buildings. So Corey Diamond, who is the head of Energy Efficiency Canada, was part of that announcement. So we're going to talk to him about what those energy advisors will do. So welcome to the interview, Corey.
Great. Thanks for having me, Markham. Good to see you again.
Likewise. So let's talk about these energy advisors. What will they be doing? Energy audits? Will they be providing advice? What are they going to do?
Yeah, so the government of Canada is looking to invest in hiring more energy advisors into the system. And what an energy advisor does is they come to your house or to your building and they do an initial audit of where there may be air leakage in the building. So what they do is they bring this big fan and they suck out all the air through the fan, through the front door. And through that, they can see where there may be leakage of air. In addition, what they do is they also go around and they look at different things in the house, potentially like, your heating source, your air conditioning source, your windows. They ask you all kinds of questions about the age and and how the house is and how it's functioning. And then ultimately what they do is they give you a report. And in that report, they basically give you a score that tells you how efficient your home or your building is, and then give you the priorities of ways to reduce your energy use from that. And then afterwards, they come back again and do another test, and hopefully they see a difference in the change because of the different measures that you took.
Is there going to be any federal and or provincial money allocated to helping pay for those audits?
Yes. So the government of Canada, as part of an announcement in the fall where they launched the fall economic statement, which is their kind of interim budget, they announced that there'd be $2.6 billion for a program that would encourage these types of retrofits. And as part of that, everyone who participates in the program will get a free energy audit. So both the pre-audit and the post-audit, as I mentioned, and then up to $5,000 in grants available to Canadians to help offset some of the cost of those measures.
Now, I have to say, Corey, when I saw the number of energy advisors, I thought, my goodness, 2,000 is not very many for a country of 37 million. So what's your take on that? Is that a drop in the bucket, or really are we going to make a significant contribution to improving energy efficiency with those folks?
Right. Well, it's hard to get full data on it, but there is an organization in Canada called the Canadian Association of Certified Energy Advisors, and they think that there's between 950 and 1,000 auditors today. So you can imagine now we're basically adding another 2,000 to that. So you're essentially tripling the number of auditors. And part of it is because there is such a demand for this type of service. But now with the types of incentives that are coming, we're going to need more auditors. The other thing is that there's part of the announcement around these 2,000 auditors is that they're trying to make sure that we fill some holes and fill some gaps across the country, that we we encourage the hiring of auditors where there aren't any, but also as a way to bring in non-traditional people into the sector, right? So the energy efficiency sector is more dominated by, male, and it's not as diverse as other sectors. So really this funding is also meant to encourage women to come into this profession, people from marginalized communities, Indigenous communities as well. And so it's really trying to kind of really diversify the sector and then ultimately add, way more advisors than we currently have in Canada.
Now, a couple of years ago, I interviewed an energy advisor he was an engineer and he ran his own company in Calgary. And one of the points he made was that these programs come and go, and the industry is like it's on a yo-yo. They hire up and they train a bunch of people under government programs, and the next government comes in and cancels that program, and then everybody gets laid off. Then they go through it again when the next government comes along. So is there any attempt here to put in place like a permanent infrastructure and permanent personnel who will be able to do this over the next 10, 20 years as Canada tries to lower its greenhouse gas emissions from its building stock?
Yeah, it's a really good question. It's something we've been advocating for a while, and it really comes down to what we call policy continuity, is that, this start and stop and boom and bust of programs, and money runs out, so go good luck, find something else to do is not sustainable in the long term. This particular program is meant to last 7 years, so that's longer than we typically see for the type of home energy retrofit programs. But the other thing that's related to this that needs energy advisors is long-term stable policy like aggressive building codes. And what we have seen, particularly in BC with their provincial building code, is mandatory air tightness testing, meaning that no matter what, every building that is built, you have to test it to make sure it's up to code. And in order to make sure that that is up to this aggressive energy code, you have to have an energy advisor who goes in and does what I described, looks for the leakage and passes the test and makes sure that happens. So you can see with a policy like that, that provides certainty through codes, that this type of profession should be in demand for many years to come. So we've been working hard trying to get the federal government to develop a model building code that is as aggressive, and then working with each province to make sure they adopt this type of building energy code. And again, as a way to not only reduce the greenhouse gas emissions, but to then ultimately make sure there's a long-term profession for people.
Now, of course, one of the issues that's come up over and over again in discussions around the energy transition is Canada is a fairly decentralized federation. The federal government doesn't have jurisdiction in these areas. This is the purview of the provinces. So you might have an aggressive government who rolls out these kind of programs in BC, or these codes. You might have municipalities in Quebec or someplace else. So you're plugged into this issue. Are provinces now more willing in the past? Are municipalities more willing in the past to do this?
So it all depends. Certainly, we benchmark how provinces are doing through an energy efficiency scorecard every year, and you see certain provinces like BC, Quebec, Nova Scotia, PEI now doing exceptional work and continuing to be more aggressive. Others are sliding backwards, like in Ontario. You are seeing a lot of extra emphasis at municipalities, because a year ago or a year and a half ago, over 200 municipalities proposed this climate emergency and adopted this climate emergency resolution. And now staff at these municipalities are coming around to figuring out, what does that mean? How do we become net zero? And what are the things we need to be doing? So you look at Vancouver, Montreal, Halifax, Toronto, the large urban centers are doing incredible work and passing very aggressive policy and investment on this. So at some point, you're going to start to see where municipalities, the provinces, and then the feds all coming together around a much bigger push. And that's where we see that sweet spot of, trying to work in concert with each other so they're not fighting with each other. And then a program like this not only then supports a federal objective, but also supports, whatever the municipalities and provinces are also trying to do.
Final question, Corey. When are we going to see the energy advisors ready to go and the funding available that you talked about to do the audits and then the $5,000? When can Canadians expect to be able to access to that?
So on the advisor part, there's an RFP that was launched last week and is already open until July for the money, the $10 million they announced. Then the idea is those people, starting in the summer, start getting trained up and passing the exam, and then ultimately, getting into the marketplace. As for the announcement on what's called the Greener Homes program, which is the free audit and the $5,000, my spider senses say that that's going to be announced very soon, within the next few days. So that is coming, and Canadians will be able to access that very, very soon, I think.
Great.
But I'm not the government, so just
Corey, thank you very much for your insights. Always appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks, Markham. Take care.